Hello, this is Dr. Lee, and this is MBC 101, Unit 1 lecture. And the first presentation for the medical terminology course will be Introduction to Word Parts. I'm Dr. Lee, your presenter. I'm the CEO and founder of the Medical Interpreting and Translating Institute, METIO. I'm also the developer for all of the courses. My background is extensive in healthcare administration as well as program development, course development with various universities. I'm a native of Panama and I speak Spanish fluently. I also received a certification from Language Testing International stating that I'm fluent in Spanish. I was previously the director at the Grady Health System, the Director of Patient Advocacy. And one of the programs in my department was the interpreting services. And we were able to become the flagship program in the entire nation because of our efforts in standardizing our medical interpreting procedures. We actually got all of our staff trained and qualified, and for our efforts, we became nationally renowned. And so that's what birthed the creation of METIO. A few years later, I became the first chair of the National Board of Certification for Medical Interpreters after working tirelessly to bring that about as a subject matter expert and also in the IMIA's initial work group. So I am very honored to be your presenter for this program, for this particular course. So the objectives of this course is that we're going to identify and define the 4 word parts. We'll also identify and define combining forms. We will analyze and define medical terms and build medical terms for given definitions. So medicine has a language of its own. Current medical vocabulary includes terms that were built from Greek and Latin word parts, eponyms, acronyms, and terms from modern language. So here are some of the origins of medical language. So you have Greek and Latin terms, such as femur and hemorrhage. And you have eponyms, such as Parkinson's disease. That was named for Parkinson. And you have acronyms such as LASER, which is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So let's break down the 4 word parts. You have the word root, which is the fundamental meaning of the medical term. Then you have the prefix, which is attached to the beginning of a medical term, and it modifies the meaning of that word root. Then you also have a suffix that is attached to the end of a medical term and also modifies the meaning of that word root. And lastly, you have the combining vowel. And these are used to just ease pronunciation. Usually it's an O, but it could be an E, an I, or a U. Here are some examples. So let's say you have the word root arth, which means joint. Or you have the word root hepat, which means liver, or ven, which means vein, or osti, which means bone. All we are going to do is add a prefix. Some prefixes, common prefixes are intra, which means within, or sub, which means under. Or we can add a suffix. Some common suffixes are itis, which means inflammation, or ik, pertaining to, also os means pertaining to, or pathy, which means disease. And don't forget the combining vowel. So we're going to add the O in there. And so let's see how these look together. So remember we had the arth, that was the word root, and you had the combining vowel, which is O, right? So we're going to put that together, and we're going to add some prefixes or suffixes to that. And here's what we get. So we get subhepatic. Okay, so you have the sub prefix ik, which was a suffix and the hepat, which is the word root. You have intravenous, right? Intra is a prefix, os is a suffix, and ven is that word root. And you have osteoarthritis, okay? So you have all of it in this one. So you have oste, which is the word root, o, which is the combining vowel, art, which is another word root, and itis, which is a suffix. So here are some basic rules that we should follow when we're putting all of these together. So all medical terms have at least one word root. Some, like in osteoarthritis, have two. Not all medical terms have a prefix or a suffix or a combining vowel. So some will just have one of the other, or some might have several, okay? The combining vowels are used to connect the word roots or the word roots and the suffix, all right? And when a suffix begins with a vowel, usually we're not going to use the combining vowel, such as a good example of this is arthritis, right? So itis is the suffix, it begins with a vowel, so we did not put an O in between the two. Here are some other basic rules to remember. When connecting two word roots, a combining vowel is usually used, even if the vowels are present at the junction. So here we have osteoarthritis, right? So there's an A for arthritis, but we still stuck in there that combining vowel. And it's a way to just separate the two word roots, okay? Or make it easier to pronounce the two. Usually medical terms are defined by starting at the end of the term and going back to the beginning. So if we're going to define osteoarthritis, we're going to say it's the inflammation, right? Itis is inflammation of the bone. Well, that one we went all the way to the front with oste, and joints. Okay, so you sort of have to remember what's the importance of that word. And lastly, a few of the terms are more easily and accurately defined by starting at the beginning of the term, such as melanoma. So melan means black, and oma means tumor. Okay, so it makes it's easier to understand if you say it's a black tumor. And that concludes this presentation of the introduction to word parts. I will see you in the next presentation.